So in order to have your body produce nitric oxide from free-form L-arginine in high enough serum levels, we're going to have 5 to 7 grams, which is 5,000 to 7,000 milligrams of pure free-form amino acid arginine attached to a blind amino acid writer. Now, when you create a formula like that, the one thing you can't leave out is brain fuel, because let's remember that arginine has to cross the blood-brain barrier, not to produce nitric oxide, but to produce growth hormone or testosterone. It has to cross the tight permeability of the blood-brain barrier. And you can imagine that blood-brain barrier is like an army of soldiers, armed soldiers that are saying, you ain't getting across here. Because you can imagine if every molecule that you ingested, such as an artificial sweetener, a sucralose molecule, or an aspartame molecule, or even a cyanide molecule, if any of those things cross the blood-brain barrier, then the brain would shut down. It would become toxic, or it would kill the brain. So the brain has these soldiers that says, you ain't getting up in here. It's not going to happen. So in order for L-arginine to cross the blood-brain barrier to create growth hormone, you have to have a blind amino acid writer that it piggybacks on that is a bio-friendly brain fuel. So if you're looking for a artificial sweetener molecule or a high glycemic sugar molecule, remember that growth hormone cannot be triggered or produced in a high glycemic medium or format. So if you're drinking a product that's high glycemic, which is why all of our L-arginine products for athletes, bodybuilders, powerlifters, strength athletes, long distance runners, all of them, whether it's for nitric oxide or GH, are certified low glycemic. Now, being chief of biomedical research at the Glycemic Research Institute and having received the first glycemic patent ever awarded worldwide, I know a little something about the glycemic index. So the first thing I did with L-arginine was attach it to a blind amino acid writer to make it safe long term. And that means 32 plus years and counting of safety record. Number two, it has to be in a low glycemic format because you cannot increase natural growth hormone if it's in a high glycemic format. And nitric oxide is very anathema and is very anti-high glycemic. And also remember that a high glycemic drink or product is going to elevate your blood glucose and insulin levels and thereby trigger the hormones that reduce sports performance. Aside from being fattening, anytime you're going to stimulate insulin and overstimulate it with a high glycemic drink, we know that it's going to make you fatter and more prone to type 2 diabetes. Third thing it's going to do is reduce sports performance. So, the only time that your body will produce growth hormone, and I know there's a lot of incorrect information about this on the internet and in the nutrition industry, rapid spread of high-tech ignorance. There are only 2 times that the human body is going to produce growth hormone, aside from getting in a serious car wreck, and I don't think we want to go there. That's really not a good way to go to produce growth hormone. There's an easier way. All right, so is when you exercise, but it's limited not to aerobic exercise. You're not going to get appreciable amount of growth hormone out of aerobic exercise. I used to be a long distance runner. We ran 30 to 60 miles a week, okay? And that doesn't produce growth hormone. What does produce growth hormone is the same thing that causes a car accident. If you're in an accident or you get injured, you fall off of a bridge or you fall off a mountain. We have a lot of mountain climbing athletes. One of our youngest athletes is the youngest person in the world ever to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and we created a nitric oxide product for him because that's what the Sherpas have. The Sherpas have a genetic abnormality and they produce overstimulated amounts of nitric oxide. So when you go up a mountain, if you don't have nitric oxide, guess what? You're coming back down or you're going to die right there. And the Sherpas generate just genetically a large amount of nitric oxide. So our mountain climbers, we give them nitric oxide so that they can make it up Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Olympia, Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Everest, and the tallest mountains in the world. They take our arginine with them. So what we're talking about is only 2 times your body's going to produce growth hormone in response to L-arginine. Now, where would you get a huge amount of L-arginine surging through your body and increasing your serum levels of L-arginine? You're not unless you drink or take an exogenous L-arginine product that's natural. All right? arginine with a blind amino acid writer. So what we're talking about is, here are the 2 times you can produce growth hormone. Same thing as falling off a mountain or getting in a car accident. What did you do? You've injured your body. You've injured the tissues, the muscles, the bones in your body, which makes your brain go, oh my God, we have to repair. What is the repair mechanism? The repair mechanism is massive amounts of growth hormone. How are you going to produce that growth hormone if you don't have arginine in your bloodstream?